far wrong as to attract their notice, they may be relied on to set them to rights. And that's why we're here. And that's why these tea parties are going on all across America. And we have to keep letting our voices be heard. And by doing so, we will grow our ranks. I believe that there is still a majority of people in these United States who love their country, who are not afraid to be called patriots. Well, we are patriots, and we love our country, and we want to hold fast to the wisdom of our founders because they got it right. We still believe. There are people who still believe in common sense Jeffersonian principles of limited government and understand that the freedoms that our founders gave to us and countless Americans fought for, and many of you here, are still worth fighting for today. We must get engaged, though, in this philosophical conflict. It's so easy for us to make a difference if we just get engaged. We have the formula that works and has worked to make America great. It was given to us in the form of our founding documents. And folks, it's time to get back to the future. We have to get back to those founding principles and bring them to the future and hand them back down to our children and our grandchildren. Let's put these principles back to work for us and rise once more to be that shining city set on a hill. One more thought from Jefferson, and this is the last. Jefferson said, every generation needs a new revolution. Let this be the beginning of the second American Revolution. Thank you very much.
This is great, folks. I tell you, it reminds me of the great history of this nation. Before the Declaration of Independence, in a little place on the Rappahannock River in Westmoreland County, there were a group of patriots that got together when England said, we are going to put in place the Stamp Act. And they said, you know something, we're not going to have any parts of that. We want to make sure that we are not going to have to pay taxes and not be represented. So in a little church there called Bray's Church in the town of Leedstown, they put together the Leedstown Resolutions, which are the precursor to our Declaration of Independence. And they swore that they would not pay a tax based on that Stamp Act. In fact, the merchant who operated out of Hobbs Hole, which is today Tappahannock, was going to take that stamp and was going to stamp everything that came through that port. And those folks there said, no, you won't do that. You will not do that. We will not do business with you if you stamp anything with that stamp from the King of England. So guess what? They stood up, and they're doing just as you're doing today. They stood up and made sure that they were going to fight for what's right for their country, and you're doing that today, and I really appreciate you coming out here. And again, you know, we can learn some lessons about that in Washington. Unfortunately, what Washington is today is 30 square miles of fantasy land surrounded by reality. And this is reality right here. Folks, we've got some very basic things that we can do. We've got some challenges in this nation, but there's some very basic things that we can do, I believe, that will lift things up. First of all is our small businesses. They are the backbone of this nation. Those businesses with 500 or less employees make up 99.9% of our businesses here, and they provide 70% of the jobs. It's time that they got a tax break. We need to make sure that we lift that tax burden from our small businesses. That's what's going to lift this nation up. We need to do that, and we need to do that now. We also need to make sure that this spending gets under control, folks, and I can go through the whole procession of things, but we have a stimulus bill that spent $1 trillion. We have an omnibus bill that spent another $400 billion. Folks, just that $1.4 trillion in debt is more than the national economies of all but 7 nations in the world. So you just put that in perspective. And then I have a hard time getting my head around $1 trillion. But let me give you this, and it'll put it in perspective. If you had $1 million and you represented it by a stack of $1,000 bills, your stack of $1,000 bills would be 4 inches high. To represent $1 trillion, your stack of $1,000 bills would be 63 miles high, folks. 63 miles high. And the Congressional Budget Office, which is the nonpartisan arm of Congress, says today as we stand, we have $10.9 trillion of debt. The budget that was just adopted has $3.6 trillion of debt in there. That's more debt in that budget than we have accrued from 1789 to 1987, folks. Put that in perspective. We are spending at a rate that's unbelievable. The percentage of our debt as a part of the gross domestic product is nearly 12%. This is record high. There's only one other time in our history where we've had that high level of national debt, and that's during World War II. So where are we going? Just as you've heard here, it is unbelievable that this is the path that we're on, and it is unsustainable. Even the Congressional Budget Office, nonpartisan arm of Congress, says we cannot sustain this level of spending, folks. It has to stop. Are you with me? We got to make sure that it stops. And what you're doing today to let your voices be heard is exactly what needs to happen, folks. I can't tell you. I have gotten thousands of tea bags. Now, if you've sent them by the mail, the post office takes the tea bag away and leaves us the tag. But we've gotten thousands of tags there at the office. So we're hearing you loud and clear. And you need to continue to make sure that your voices are heard, because it does work. As you've heard the speakers before us, your words do work. Your efforts do work. Not just here to let your thoughts be known, but also to send your thoughts and ideas there to Washington. Please keep that information going. It does work. As the volume gets turned up and more people say, hey, I've got concerns about where spending is going in this country, believe me, the tide will turn. There are folks on the other side of the aisle that believe the same as us, and that is, hey, this is too much spending. It's not sustainable. Where does that leave us? Where does it leave our children? Where does it leave our grandchildren? Not in the position that we want them to be in, folks. We may face a time in history where we don't leave this country better than we left it for our children. That's a scary thought, and it's all of us that will make sure that we turn this tide. So I want to thank you all so much for coming out today. Keep up the fight. Keep sending those letters to Washington. Keep those tea bags coming. Keep up your efforts. Again, this is your government. I want to remind you, it's your government. Stay informed, stay alert, stay involved, stay active, and believe me, this will turn around as far as this spending. And if we all get together, hand in hand, and make sure that we stand and say, this is our government, we take it back, we don't let this spending go awry, it will happen, folks. Thank you all so much. God bless you. God bless America.
Spread your golden wings, sail on freedom's wind across the sky.